What's up, lemon heads? Welcome to another episode of From the Yellow Chair. I'm Crystal, and this week I'm doing a solo episode. I always love my homegirl Emily, but sometimes we have to divide and conquer. And so this week I'm talking about one of my passions, and that is community marketing and how you really can utilize that to push your brand further and further as you continue to grow your business and do great things. Another thing that I'll tell you that we're going to probably hit on a little bit here is when you're in the slow season, like how do you leverage your brand? And so I'm so excited to talk about all this stuff. It's my absolute favorite part of marketing is getting into the communities that you and your team members live, work, and play in. It is time to sip some lemonade. Let's do it. All right, guys. So, welcome to just listening to Crystal's voice. I know you guys may be a little disappointed with that. But I cannot wait to talk a little bit about community marketing and how important it is to building brand awareness and building brand authority in your marketplace. So, what do I even mean by that, right? So, a lot of people go, brand is a logo. Yes, it is. Listen, I have a whole team of people that their job is to actually be the one that designs and creates. And listen, they are talented and they can tell a story through graphics and through layout and through colors and patterns and all of these really cool things. But it is a piece of the total brand picture for your company. And so a lot of times we sit back and we're like, oh, well, my logo's good. Fantastic. And some of you have even gone so far as to say, oh, my truck wrap is good. Um, all of those things, you're like, oh, I have these little pieces. But really what builds a brand is how you are viewed, how you are received, or what people think about you across your market. And it's really important to me that I get across to you guys that you can at branding cannot be an afterthought. It absolutely must be top of mind for you constantly, very consistently. Because um, when we are making decisions, so as consumers, when we sit down and we make decisions for our family. So things like where are we going to eat? Where do we want to buy a new car? Auto insurance. Do I need to have audio in my car, like Sirius radio? All of these things. It's important that everybody here remember that I'm going to make those decisions based off who I've made a mental relationship with. I've somehow built a relationship with these brands, whether the brand knows it or not, right? So I seriously doubt that Toyota knows that I have a connection to them, right? The point is when we are storyboarding what our brand is and we're putting our story out there, we need to remember that we are talking to people, like real life people, and we need to be constantly staying in front of them, constantly putting who we are as a company in front of them. Now, let's get real about one thing. Some of you aren't anyone yet, right? Some of you are not an actual brand. You're a person, which is cool. And people are like, oh, I love Joe. He's done my work for years. But you are the brand, not your company. And so that's a challenge sometimes because as you grow and as you scale, you can't run every service call. Okay. So, and people have done amazing things at making themselves like the caricature of themselves graphically being the brand. But what's important here is that's because you're going to be able to cast that vision out to your community like, oh my gosh, look how cool. I love Mr. Joe's Heating and Air Conditioning. But you set it up as a brand and not as a person. So when we're walking through the customer's journey and interactions with your brand, they need to experience more than just a logo, more than just a person. We need them to interact with us because they enjoy what we bring to the table. And I know that sounds so corny. People are like, my gosh, my electrical company? Like, you want people talking about me over dinner? Yeah, I do. Like, absolutely. But there's ways that we can do that through building our brand and engaging in our community. So we hear it all the time, right? Build your brand, build your brand. I think some people are like, what the heck does that even mean? So let's dive in a little bit. So number one, you have your logo. We've talked about that. Your logo, your designs, your colors, all that's great. Then you need your taglines. Yes, so you need some type of tagline that really ties it in. Comfort at the drop of a hat, speeding into comfort every day, comfort that's light years ahead, and I mean all of these goodies that just come from taking who you are as a company and creating this really awesome tagline, fun little kicker statement that really, you know what it does? It solidifies the story that you're wanting to tell. So if I have a captain as my mascot or as my characterization in my logo, I would love to have a tagline that says set sail with comfort, right? Or set sail with Honey Bear Air, whatever that kind of matches up with your name and your actual tagline. And you just kind of have to be a little bit more free spirited there, because a lot of you are going to be like, this is corny pants. But what it is it is making auditory connections for people. Like, oh man, I love we're not comfortable until you are, or we love whatever the statement is that's in there. And it's just making that connection, right? So you've got that. The other thing is I always feel like we should be looking at some sort of hook for you. You've either got a cool jingle that everyone remembers that ties in that tagline, and it's got the sound and the vibe. So if you're a surfer dude, you probably would not have a jingle that is a string quartet. Yeah. If you're a jungle theme, you're probably not going to have a Mozart classical style jingle. So I always like to say we need to bring in something. So ideally, if we're going to own our surfer as our mascot and our vibe and our feel is very beachy and light and airy, then I'm thinking we need to be listening to a little bit of a Beach Boys vibe, right? We got a little calypso going on. That's immediately where my brain goes, because you need your clients. You need all the people that haven't chose you yet. You need them to make the auditory connection. Oh, I love that little surfer company. Okay, I don't care. I don't care how you build your relationship with me, right? I just want you to make one with me. So there's those. Same thing kind of goes for your commercial spots. If you have a very fun and lighthearted logo and design and theme out there, everything's very lighthearted, then I would not have a very somber commercial that says, "Thank you for choosing, Honey Bear Air." I would have much more like something that is silly and fun, and people go, oh my gosh, they are so fun. Okay, so you need to be looking at your whole brand picture, and how every piece plays together. Every piece got to play together. Your brand voice, how you word things. So if you're a doctor sounding company, maybe it's not a tune-up that you go for, it's a checkup that you go for. Okay, maybe you're very traditional, and so it would be an inspection for you, or a AC tune-up. Okay, those are very traditional. Those are very normal things that match a traditional company. There's nothing wrong with being traditional, but if you're going to do it, you need to own it. You know what I would be sharing on social media? Grandma's recipes, because I'm trying to make the whole connection that I'm this good, down home, good, for me, because I'm from Texas, but Southern charm style of company. Or you've got somebody that's neon green and everything is rock and roll. I wouldn't be putting grandma's apple pie recipe in my newsletter if my whole vibe is rock and roll. Yeah. So we have to think through the whole experience for the customer. So that leads me to community marketing. So many of us neglect this piece of building our business because it is not the sexiest part, and it's certainly not the quickest return on your investment. This is a long-term, I'm going to put all my guts and glory into this, and it's not going to pay off for 17 months. Okay? All of a sudden, you're like, this, I'm doing something wrong. And you're really not. I want you to think about it like thinking about friendships. Okay? So, like I'll meet people all the time, and I will know them for a couple of years just as acquaintances or socially, right? Like I experience them. Maybe they're friends with some mutual friends, and so I interact with them. Okay. Well, then all of a sudden, if I start interacting with them more, like all of a sudden she shows up and she's joined my Bible study class. And now I'm like, oh, I'm seeing you all the time now. Eventually, we're going to become friends, closer friends a lot of times, right? Because she's kind of got my style. I like her vibe. She likes my vibe. We're kind of liking the same things. And we just kind of naturally together, she becomes a good friend of mine. So I like to use that analogy a little bit because it's kind of what branding is like. So if you're brand new in your market, I'm just now trying to feel you out. Yes? Right? I'm just now trying to feel you out. Like, okay, I see that yellow bear air and that's cute. And I like the yellow. But you're not gonna give it another thought because guess what? Kids are screaming in the background, or technicians are calling your phone, or the phone isn't ringing, and you've got bigger fish to fry than that other yellow bear air as a client, as a potential consumer. So, but eventually, the more I interact with your brand, the more comfortable I get with your brand, the more relationship I build with your brand, the more impactful. Excuse me. Start again. The more impactful I am and intentional I am about interacting with my community, the more me as the consumer gets attached and it's more and more attached to your brand. Okay. So it's just like when you go out to eat after church on Sundays, when we go out to eat, we're going to go eat at a few certain places. You know why? Because we know they're good. We love them. I don't even know that I've ever seen a commercial for some of these places, but I've experienced them enough that I know that's where I want to go. So when we're talking about this, one thing that we can deploy is community involvement. So many of you are already doing this. You're already supporting the baseball teams. You're already supporting your chambers of commerces or hospice groups or breast cancer awareness or Huntington's disease, all of these different things. A lot of you are very philanthropic naturally. I do not think that many of you are philanthropic intentionally, right? You just give money to whoever probably bugs you the most, or if you've got like a team member whose kid is playing a sport. Ideally, we would be giving a set amount of money back into our communities every year. And let me tell you why I do it that way. I do it so that I don't under or over commit myself. Okay? So if I were to say I'm going to give 5% back into my community, okay? That's a lot, I think. Because that's just straight giving back. And then I'm going to, try to figure out how to make the most of that. So let's just say I go into my market and I've got $15,000. I'm committed in 2023, Crystal, I'm going to spend $15,000 in my market. Then we need to be very intentional about every single dollar going towards furthering the mission of my brand and making the phone ring long term. So you are never going to go to a festival and just be there, and maybe you're the one that is judging the pie eating contest at this festival, and you've provided the prizes. I doubt you really immediately someone call and say, you know what, you were judging these pies, and by God, that's exactly why I'm going to buy this $15,000 system from you. It could happen. Okay, it could happen, especially in small town USA. It could happen, but really, you're really investing in your community by being present and being seen as a person. So your leadership needs to be present and be seen. Your general managers, your service managers, if you're a one-man band, I'd be a one-man band everywhere I could be. So you just got to go, and you got to be intentional about making yourself go and do. I personally always recommend, if that's not your jam, you're like, oh my God, like kill me now if I got to be in these social sessions. I don't want to be in that. Well, then there is someone on your team that is a very good representative of your company and your culture. And I would start acclimating them to giving back to the community. So what you're looking for is, how can I plug these people in? So I've got this a set amount of money that I'm going to give back. Now I've got some intentionality behind me, like I'm going to get plugged in. Now, let's talk about how we make the most of those two things. So I always like to know that what I'm doing is impactful, and it's also not a waste of my time or dollars. Some things you just do out of goodwill. Some things you do knowing that there's a flip side to that coin. Okay. So I can get really passionate about community marketing because it doesn't just help with branding. It helps with recruitment. It helps with retainment. It helps with overcoming good and bad Google reviews. It helps with referrals. It helps with all of it helps with influence and authority. I mean, guys, I could go on and on. But when you give zero attention to your brand or your community, then that's exactly what you get back out of it. Zero. Okay, so talking about these community events, now I've got my budget, I've got my plan of action, like who's going to kind of be the face, and now I'm going to go do it. So every time I see, oh, I've got the Forney Jubilee is coming up, and it's a big festival, I'm going to look at that and I'm going to say, what inside of this festival speaks to my brand? Okay. So if my brand is all about dogs or animals, and then I look and say, oh, they're doing a pet parade, I want to sponsor the pet parade. But I don't just want to give them $500 or $5,000 to sponsor the pet parade. I want to be the marshal of the parade, and I want to give all the animals Honey Bear Air neckerchiefs, and I want to be at the finish line and give them dog treats, and I want to make sure that everybody goes home with a Comfort's Best Friend coupon from Honey Bear Air for $50 off their next service call if they book within the next 7 to 10 days. But all of that takes intentionality, because the easy thing to do is to be like, yeah, here you go. Here's $500. Put my name on a banner, and you go home and you're on the same banner that 60 other people are on I call it in a alphabet soup of logos. That's not brand building. That's building the nonprofit. And I'm not going to lie, sometimes I'm okay with it. Sometimes I'm literally just doing it. I didn't have the staff to go work the event, but I really want to support the cause, and I want to, maybe one of my team members is on their board or something like that. But at the end of the day, I rarely ever am going to stick my logo on anything. That is not my jam. I do not think it pays dividends. I do not think that it builds my brand. I really think it's a true, actual, I would just really have to be in a place to give back, just solely for giving back. So not hating on that. You just have to know what you're doing. You just have to know that you're doing it for that. So I kind of go there. So I would look at that and I would decide, like, which of these opportunities really fits my brand. So for Lemon Seed Marketing, I really do not want to sponsor the coffee break, right? Because, hello, I want people drinking lemonade, not coffee, right? But what's to keep me from calling and saying, hey, I know you're selling this as a coffee break or the coffee area. What if I replaced that and I provided all the lemonade and all the cups, put my banner up, and my mascot and I were out there serving the lemonade to everybody? Odds are they might push back and say, oh, we really need coffee. Then I would say, can we do both? I mean, guys, I would work it out. Because at the end of the day, the nonprofit or the community organization, their goal is to raise money or offset cost, one of the two. They're either trying to not make the event or the fundraiser cost so much so you can help them that way, or they're trying to make true legitimate money and you're still there with the money. But you have got to be a little selfish about thinking about yourself and your company. So again, Lemon Seed Marketing, we get calls all the time for the local schools doing bingos and they want prizes. You know what I'm going to give them? A yellow JBL speaker. A yellow JBL speaker. That's what I'm going to give them. You know why? Because it's on brand and it's yellow. And we want to help ramp up, dial up your marketing, listen up, all the cool things. We can do it from the podcast. We can do it from our actual marketing company. And it's yellow and it's a good brand. And I can order 10 or 12 of them at a time. And that's my go-to item. Or I might do a yellow purse if it's a ladies bingo. But everything is going to be in my colors, on brand. Because that is how I build my brand. And you know what? Locally, Lemon Seed doesn't even have local clients very much other than my brother's company. Most of you know that story. So I don't need other local brands because I have my brother's brand. So me advertising locally, it's truly just helping my local community that I live and my employees live, work, and play in. So I then put it on social media. We were proud to support Diboll High School Project Graduation 2023 by donating this yellow Kate Spade purse. And it'll be a picture of me and Emily with our Kate Spade purse or with some group of high school seniors. And I'll make sure that if we're there, if we're represented, maybe we get a picture of me and the winner. I mean, all we're doing is trying to let people know I want to do business with people like Lemon Seed because they are philanthropic. They give back. Okay. And many of you, like I said, you're already doing this. You're just not making the most of it. Let's talk about Little League teams. How many times do you get asked to sponsor a gymnastics, wrestling, baseball, football, basketball travel team? We're just looking for six $100 sponsors to help us with this. So let me tell you, for $600, I would say, hey, are you just raising money so you can have a banner? They're going to say, yeah, we just want to have a cool banner on our dugout or behind our bench. You could say, I'll do better than that. Because listen, for $600, I'll do better than that. I'll buy you the banner. I'll sponsor your whole team, and I'm going to have Gatorade packs. I want y'all to come by, and I want y'all to pick up your team kit that I'm building out and take a picture with my mascot next Thursday. If you think your team can do that, bring your jerseys and come by the office and pick up your, travel kits and take a picture with my mascot. Take a picture with me by our van. Take a picture in front of our building by our sign. Whatever that looks like for your company. So now you're their hero. They don't have to go price. They don't have to go find 50 people to help them sponsor this banner. You're going to get the banner done with your logo on it. And now they're coming to your office. So not just the little kids, but their parents, their families. And then the kids are going to talk about the experience. And that somebody's mama is going to tell somebody else's mama. And they're going to say, girl, this air conditioning company sponsored my kids' all-star team, gave them a packet of stuff. It had gum and it had sunflower seeds and it had, Gatorades or Powerades in there. And then we took a picture with their mascot. Girl, it was so fun. Ray loved it. He had a blast. And look, they gave us this banner. So now it's caused all this buzz, and it cost you way less than $600. It cost you time and energy and creativity. So community marketing is not spending tons of money. It's more being about very intentional about how you spend that money, because you want people to associate your brand with giving back and being thoughtful. How about you look for opportunities to sponsor a teacher of the month, a nurse of the month, a police officer of the month, or create your own give back. If you are in a market to where everything is about animals, you're adopting a pet a month, or maybe money from your maintenance club. Every maintenance club membership you sell, $3 goes to the such and such animal shelter, or $3 goes to prevent childhood cancer. And so we have the Dragonfly Club, and every time you join and sign up for our memberships, we donate $3 to prevent childhood cancer, right? And then you make a big deal about, we donated over $3,000 to the XYZ Children's Network to be able to play our part of helping solving childhood cancer. Here's how you can donate. And you put a link on your social media page. You're building out landing pages on your website that says, not only do we offer AC repair in Wilmington, Delaware, we are proud to support. You get the SEO juice from it. You get the social media juice from it. And look, guys, you're doing a good thing. Like, look at you giving back. Everybody is happy in this way. Everybody. And so it's very important that we prioritize who our brand is in our market. So all these pieces have to be working together. So you can't be this fancy pants logo and look and feel and then when your technicians arrive at the home and they open the door and 2 McDonald's cups falls out and they put their cigarette out on the floor, on the driveway. That can't be the vibe for a company that's called Butler HVAC, right? That's not the kind of Butler I want driving up at my house. Also, you really can't tout. We love to give back, but then never show anybody how you give back. So it's not bragging as much as it is bringing some attention to it, along with encouraging other people to give back. Highlight when you're, if you're all about letting the world know or your market know that you want to hire dads and moms and people that are already active, then highlight the activities that your current people are in. Do you have a Boy Scout leader, a Girl Scout leader, a church leader? Do you have a softball coach, a rodeo coach, all these different things? What do you have? Look at your team and pick out the ones that you want more of, right? Because there's a few of them you wish you didn't have in general, but there's a few of them on there that you really like who they are as people. And so look at what they do, like, and share those. We are so proud to have Johnny on our team. He is not only a fantastic install partner, but he is a rock star Boy Scout leader, leading pack 128 out of so-and-so North Carolina. And it's a picture of your technician and his son, and they're dressed at a campsite, right? It's so homely feeling. Boy Scouts might not have been the best example there, but we're going to go with it. Y'all get the picture. But again, what we're looking for is making these visual pull at the heartstrings. Let people know who you are. Stop worrying about just your logo, and you need to look at the entire way that people communicate with you. So I said something earlier that I want to back up to. I said earlier that you are not the brand, right? So that what I mean by that is you can't always be the one that runs the calls, because unfortunately you actually and your team and the way they communicate socially, all of those things impact your brand. So if you have some jagaloons, that's my word, jagaloons on your team who are forever drinking and driving, or being at unfavorable places, and they're taking pictures and putting it on social media, flipping everybody off, or two beers or a beer keg, and they're doing headstands on it and keg stands and all these things. Okay, I want you to know that word spreads like a wildfire. And what'll happen is all of a sudden it'll be like, you can't use that company. That's a bunch of fools over there. Or, oh, I see that, but he's on Facebook blasting all these other companies. Nothing makes me crazier. So be mad at me if you want. Nothing makes me crazier when I see contractors or even local business owners bashing people on social media. I'm like, ooh, child, what goes around comes around. So I'm not disputing the fact that maybe somebody did you wrong, or it was crazy, or what they did was unethical, or whatever. And maybe you're trying to protect other people from being taken advantage of by this company. But odds are there's more to the story, and it needs to be told in private, because what goes around comes around. You're going to have a misunderstanding with a client, and you know what's going to happen? They're going to flip and eat your lunch on social, and you're going to be all devastated and hurt. And you're like, what happened? But what happened is people are keyboard ninjas, keyboard warriors back there just waiting to take somebody down. So we have to work really hard to build raving fans through good mascots and through good logos and through good vehicle wraps and good expectations on the appearance of our technicians and expectations on our CSRs on how they will answer the phone, how our problems addressed. If a client calls in with a problem, how is that addressed? Is it handled kindly, candidly, but kindly? Is it handled honestly but kindly? Or are we just blasting folks and ready to cuss and swear and scream and holler at somebody, right? How we interact on social media, how we take our brand and do our sponsorships, all of those things are this big circle, kumbayaing around your brand. So I ask you to think today, is my brand stuck at level 1? Where I got a good logo, I've just never kicked it off. I've never really kicked it up a notch, okay? So I need you to think about that. I need you to think, yeah, you know what? I've got a pretty good brand. I've got a good thing going. Well, now, what are you doing in your community? What are you doing in the area that you live, work, and play? Where are you giving back to? And then when you do give back, how are you supporting? Are you serving on any boards? Are you working alongside any other people? What's going on that I can extend my brand presence through engagement and interaction? And the last thing that I encourage you to do about your brand is secret shop yourself. Ask people that you can trust. Now, don't ask your buddy, because they're not going to tell you the truth. But get some secret shoppers to shop just your brand. I know some of you panic when I tell you to secret shop other companies, but shop your own brand. Have somebody that you are acquaintances with reach out and pretend like there's an issue at their home or whatever. Ask them for a quote, whatever you want that to be. And let that person come back and say what their experience was with a brand. Okay, guys, I feel like I've preached at you for so long about branding, but I love it, and it's so important. At Lemon Seed, we are a full-service marketing company. I want you to think of us as like a virtual marketing department or a fractional CMO. We are here at Lemon Seed to help you feel more organized and structured with your marketing. We are not a digital agency. We are the liaison between yourself, the contractor, and all of your advertising partners to make sure you're getting the best bang for your buck and making recommendations when we can to help you have a very profitable and good return on that marketing investment. If you are waiting on a sign, this is it. You need to jump in. You need to start marketing. If not with Lemon Seed, jump in somewhere and get going. So, listeners, thank you guys for hanging out with me today. Sorry that you had to miss Em. I'm sure she'll be doing her own solo here pretty quickly. But you have listened to another episode of From the Yellow Chair. If you have loved this episode, I would love for you to share it with all of your friends. Share it on social media. Leave me a review. Leave us a review anywhere you like to leave reviews. And thanks for following our podcast on all social media channels and just hanging out with me every week. So we love you guys, and we thank you so much for sipping lemonade with Lemon Seed Marketing. Talk to you soon. Bye.